I am Thor, son of Odin, and as long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say.
Great, another broken white boy for us to fix.
That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are. With great power comes great responsibility. I can do this all day.
Wakanda forever!
And welcome, Internet, to another episode of Views from the 616, the blackest MCU podcast in the multiverse, powered by For All Nerds, where we discuss everything in the MCU from the perspective of people of color. And it is one of your beautiful hosts, Tatiana King, a.k.a. T'Challa Bread, a.k.a. Tesseract Thompson, coldest winter soldier ever, Wicked Witch of the West View, and the life and times of Sharon Carter. And as always, I am joined by my infinity glowing host.
There we go. It's your boy DJ BenHaMeen, a.k.a. the Brother Voodoo Child, the Holla Holla Holla, the Black Adam Warlock, the Nightmare on Ellis Street, Lieutenant Good Trouble, a pimp named Sam Wilson, Hank Grim the Sad Titan, Karen Civil War, Arnhem Nola here in the spaceship tonight, representing that dirty.
Well, first of all, I love the new Arnhem Nola.
Yes.
I still can't get over the Civil War one. Like, yo, that shit's it's too much, sir.
Neither can the internets. Yeah.
Well, the internets, I'm glad you're back with us to discuss everything What If, specifically the finale episode of What If episode 9? Or is this episode 8? What number episode is this?
I don't know. Look, it's been a long weekend, y'all. We just came from New York Comic-Con. It has been going down. It has been a lot, but we are here for you. We gonna talk this episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's episode 9.
It is episode
the finale.
9.
It is
Titled
episode 9.
What If the Watcher Broke His Oath? And like DJ BenHaMeen said, we have just completed New York Comic-Con 2021, so make sure you are on the lookout for that Bontent. Bontent has already actually dropped already.
Yeah.
You saw some incredible cosplay videos from the last 4 days by the legendary DJ BenHaMeen as director. Hope you enjoy that. Make sure you run those numbers up. It really matters that you all watch it and share, because like we do this for y'all. We want to make sure y'all see all the cool, amazing things that we see at these events. And shout out to everybody in New York Comic Con that came through. Shout out to everyone who was vaccinated and had their mask. That was the only way to get in anyway, but thank you for doing your part. Appreciate it. Now, let's get right into things of, again, Views from the 616. Episode 9. Before we get into things, Ben, let's talk about the fact that this week's themes of the episode is brought to you by Target.
Word, because Target is partnering with HBCUs to support the next generation of black talent.
One of the ways Target is teaming up with HBCUs is through Target's HBCU Design Challenge, where HBCU students submit designs to be included in Target's Black History Month collection. Very nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Winners receive that guap, bid money, equipment, mentoring, networking opportunities. All the things you need when you are at HBCU.
So we found out that this year's winners are from FAMU, Bowie State, and Hampton. What's up, HBCU love?
We love it. We love it. Check back during Black History Month to see the latest winners' designs that will be featured in Target's 2022 Black History Month collection.
And I just want to say, I love the fact that Target is doing this, because obviously we're HBCU grads. We went to the real HU. And I think it's really important that the arts are represented, that Black artists are uplifted and given the resources to continue their craft and to grow their craft. Like we have artists of many different disciplines and things of that nature. So I think that this is one of the best ways you can do that. When you give the money and the resources to the people who need it the most, it makes a difference.
Yeah, facts. And like you said, I just love that they're getting the mentoring and networking opportunities, because that is one of the things that definitely changed my life when I was at Howard, is getting those top opportunities. And I feel like Howard and HBCUs in general, that's one of the best things about going to them. And I'm glad to see that Target is supporting them in that way.
Absolutely. So celebrate your legacy, invest in the future.
Because together we are Black beyond measure.
So visit target.com/Black Beyond Measure to learn more. And now, Ben, it's time for the themes of the episode.
Huzzah!
And this finale, that single choice, the theme that rides over everything is the fact that for the first time, at least in this timeline ever, the Watcher interferes.
Mm-hmm. And that's a direct call to what if issue 39, what is entitled "What If Watcher Saved the Universe," where he grabs a bunch of heroes from different multiverses to actually save the Timekeepers, the same people who were referenced in the TVA with Loki's series. Yeah.
And this is just so funny because throughout, as we kept seeing from every episode, that's all the Watcher kept saying, I cannot interfere. I cannot interfere. My heart's so broken, but I cannot interfere. I'm so sad. I'm this, I'm that. And then he's just like, oh, no, this is one step too far. I have to do something. And it comes up to the questions to me, like, again, what constitutes for a Watcher to be like, you know what, I have to break my oath at this point? Because I feel like for example, just certain things that they see, like, again, we had this conversation about the Eternals, right? Like, why didn't the Eternals stop slavery and then all this other stuff, right? Like, the goalposts keep moving when it comes to the Watchers, and then it also, I guess, depends on which Watcher you're talking about, because this particular Watcher seems like a big MCU fanboy. So I'm just like, so what if someone like a Watcher doesn't care about the Avenger? They care about a different set of people, right? So they'll help them. Like, I don't. And again, this is all with if you have to keep it within the context of Marvel, understood. But I just find it funny.
All right,
how the Watchers move
in the MCU. Is there only one Watcher? That's the first question we got to answer, because there seems to be only one, and that's also something bigger about this episode that I've seen on the internet distrust. Like, we were talking about this last week, actually. And this is one of those things where it's hard to wrap your brain around it because it becomes with time travel and time loops and all that. Mm-hmm. But the Watcher that we see at the end of the episode when Ultron rolls up into the different multiverses, into the first multiverse, the first time we see Ultron and he's like, wait, what? And then the episode ended, right? That Watcher, right, who's coming into Thor's party land, like Ultron is coming into Thor's party land as we see in this episode. Mm-hmm. That Watcher who's like, wait, what? That's the same Watcher who then goes to get Thor, right?
Yeah, is it not? Are you implying that there's more than one Watcher?
No, what I'm implying is that did this Watcher create like a time loop type weird thing going on where he alerted himself because he's the one who alerts? Like, how is he surprised when he's the one who alerted Ultron to the multiverse in the first place?
But he didn't know he alerted Ultron to the multiverse. Or he didn't think he was able to do that.
But he did.
Did he? That's why I think this goes back to the questions we had last episode. Like, to what extent did the Watcher know stuff? Because remember I said there's no way he's going to pretend that he's surprised and not actually be surprised. Like, that doesn't make sense.
See, but that's what I think it is, and that's what I was explaining. I think it's the Dr. Manhattan time loop type thing, where he knows he's surprised, but because it is a time loop, he is surprised. It's one of those things that we don't understand because we don't see, time from that angle. Yeah. But anyway, to get to my point about did he cause it, right? He is surprised when Ultron invades the multiverse, but he is the one who first alerts Ultron to the presence of the multiverse by narrating.
Okay, I'm just nodding because I'm just like, I don't.
Let's move on because we'll be here all day, laying out straws and shit in the words of Looper. Like, this is how this stuff.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as we move on, as you said, the Watchers we see in this episode, he ends up gathering a new set of Avengers like Dragon Balls and essentially wishes himself a victory against Ultron Infinite. Because he fucked up. Like, as you said, it's really his fault that Ultron realizes that there is more to the multiverse. And he
this shit's so wild and annoying. Hold on, I gotta stop you because like this nigga just goes and grabs the exact people that he knows. Like, it's like worse than what Doctor Strange did in Endgame. Like when Doctor Strange was like, "Yo, I can't tell you, Tony. You just don't have to wait." But you gonna die. There's
14 million infinite possibilities, and only one is the right one. Like,
and you gonna die in it, but I ain't gonna tell you that, because you gonna die. But this is even worse because it's like at the end, Doctor Strange is like, "Oh, we weren't even supposed to win." He knew this shit the whole time. Because when I'm rewatching him, I'm like, yo, why did he even grab Killmonger? He know this dude ain't shit. I
still don't understand why he didn't grab. Because we'll definitely talk through that.
This
why
is why
grab that nigga.
This is why. Because he needed Killmonger to fuck up. That's the point. Killmonger has to be the one to separate the stones from Ultron, so that him and Arnim Zola can get into this eternal fight, so that the stones aren't on one thing. So that's why. And so then that Doctor Strange can trap them. Yeah. Because if the stones are on one person, you can't trap them because they know what's going down. But these two are battling over the stones. They don't realize what's going down. And they're not looking outside of their, immediate, because they're so focused on the stones. So then he traps them in this universe, and they don't even realize they trapped, really. Because they're just focusing on the stones.
So they're, okay. Fine, that's acceptable.
My point is, he went and got Killmonger. He went and got all of them, knowing Killmonger is going to F up. No one is going to go all bad, but he can't tell them.
Again, now I'm getting upset because then this will go back to what you just said about he knew and he didn't, but he played like he knew. Like, what? Like, this is bullshit.
It's just, I gotta go to this one of those Dr. Manhattan things. It's one of those Doctor Strange things. It's like, what's going to happen, but at the same time, you don't know because F it. Yeah, I'll be here all day with the straws.
So, and
I'm going to have a drink.
So as I said, he wishes himself this victory. You got to have this drink. I just thought, again, the Watcher, he's hilarious. And he's also very annoying. He's wild dramatic as well. Super, super comic book guy. Like, you have been chosen. Like, just to pop up out of nowhere and pick up everybody. Like, very, I'm trying to figure out what story that made me think of.
Well, it's actually one that you probably don't know. It's a precursor to Secret Wars. Before Marvel had Secret Wars, they had this was back in the early 70s. I only know it from reading back issues and ish. But they had a series called Contest of Champions, where I want to say the Grandmaster and perhaps the Watcher. It wasn't the Watcher. It was somebody else got into this battle, and they pit their, heroes and villains, and it was the Contest of Champions, and they had their big fight, and they said that line, "You have been chosen," and they went around scooping up cats. Interesting footnote about the Contest of Champions. Marvel tried to use it for diversity and inclusion and created a bunch of new characters who were all like, a Native American hero and all this. All of them pretty whack, or, I won't say whack characters, but just whackly used, and so they haven't.
They whack.
No, because there have been, that there have been many a whack character and then a great writer gets, a lot of people we think of as legendary were at one time a really, B-list character, and then some great writer got their hands on them, like Daredevil with Frank Miller. You know what I mean? We would not think of Daredevil the way we think of him without Frank Miller coming onto that title and changing the game. Gotcha. But beside the point, nobody's ever changed the game for these characters, so their game is whack.
Ladies and gentlemen, DJ BenHaMeen. Yeah, as explained.
To get back to the point.
Yeah, and part of the choice of the Watcher interfering, when he does this, he scoops everybody up, and he creates this new Avengers team, dubs them the Guardians of the Multiverse.
So weak.
So you calling the Watcher a weak writer? Okay?
I was just like, fam, I was sitting there trying to think of something better, and nothing really came to mind, but I was like, sense. I get it. But
remember, he's the ultimate Watcher. He's the ultimate fanboy. He's going to, if anything, make references to other stories and combine and do all sorts of. In a way, it's cool, right? Because it just makes sense, and in a way, it's very corny.
And he can't really use the Exiles because that's always had that slight X-Men reference, and if he says the word Exiles, the whole effing internet explodes, and we never hear the end of it. Yeah, and we never
in the context of the story, that title, that name of that type of group doesn't make sense.
Well,
those people weren't exiled in any way in those characters.
Black Widow damn sure was.
Well, circumstantial exiling, okay? Circumstantial, all right?
And the people from the zombie world didn't make it, so.
Circumstantial.
They would have been exiles if we'd seen any of them.
Well, the Guardians other multiverse, they're all characters comprised from all of the previous episodes that we saw in the series. And then a lot of people already hit us up and said, did y'all did we write this season? Because we were correct that we thought it was going to be a multi-person team up with the previous characters. And that's what happened. So we ended up with Captain Carter. She gets snatched up when she's in the middle of her Lemurian Star mission. That is actually the same opening scene from Captain America, the Winter Soldier. It's almost shot by shot, word for word. There's some things that are changed a little bit, and we'll mention that later. But it's the same freaking mission. That instead of Captain Steve Rogers, it's Captain Carter. We also end up with T'Challa Lord, where it looks like he's in the middle of saving Peter Quill from his dad, Ego. And he ends up blowing up Ego too. I don't know if that's really the end of Ego, but he does end up putting like a mine on Mans.
Most definitely not. No.
Right.
Yeah, that ain't gonna do it. There's one thing about that scene that kind of makes no sense in the larger context when he's like, this will only take 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So in the original Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Ego was gonna sit there for 1,000 years and hope nothing came through.
I don't know.
I mean, he would have murked the Guardians of the Galaxy. So at that point, he's gonna be like, who else is gonna roll?
But like, who's gonna stop me?
Who else gonna test me? Yeah. After that,
Yeah,
who's gonna come for the
me,
king?
boo? So.
Yeah. They already came for the king and missed,
Right.
Yeah.
We also, and this one is very important and interesting. The next one's very important and interesting. We also end up with Gamora on this team. Now, just using the context clues, you can see, and by what the Watcher says and about what she's wearing and where they are, you see Gamora in what appears to be, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Nidavellir, which is that dwarven or what's left of it or whatever, but Nidavellir. So that is the place where the dwarven race lives, and that's where in the sacred timeline, that's where Thanos went and had them forced them to make the gauntlet, and then he killed all of them. But there was one sole survivor, which was Atri, and again, apologies for mispronouncing.
Atri, no, you got that
Atri,
one right.
okay,
as far as Atri, I always went with Atri because it's E-I.
Okay.
T-R, yeah, Atri.
Who was played by Peter Dinklage.
Yes.
In the MC. Again, I was just shocked to see him. I'm still now like looking back at the pictures when I was like researching this really quick. I was just like, damn, Peter Dinklage was in this shit, but there he is. So in this one again, you see the scene of Gamora. She's with Tony Stark, who's wearing, I'm calling it the Space Buster because it looks like the Hulkbuster suit, but the space version of it. You see Gamora wearing what appears to be kind of a scaled down version, but damn near similar of Thanos' golden armor. You see her holding what appears to be Thanos' double-edged sword, and you see them melting down Thanos' gauntlet. And Ben, I like your reference point here, just like the hand in Terminator.
Yeah. Just like the hand of Terminator. All right. A little bit of an explanation on that scene and why.
Yeah, where's that from?
Yeah, and why Gamora is even in this episode.
Why?
Why? Because as we've talked about before, there were supposed to be 10 episodes of this first season of What If, but due to COVID, one episode had to get scrapped. And this episode was, from what I've heard on the internet, was to be titled, What If Tony Stark Was Stuck in Space? Basically, at the end of Avengers 1, when he goes to blow up the invading ship and the portal closes, he falls through the portal. But on this alternate reality, the portal would have closed. He would have been stuck in space. Still saved the Earth or whatever, but he's floating in space. Another portal would have opened. He would have landed on Sakaar, as most people do when portals open in space. He would have landed on the junk planet that we saw in Thor Ragnarok. So on Sakaar, you're made to battle under the Grandmaster, right? You had to fight. So he would have been fighting. He would have built his new space armor, the space Hulkbuster, whatever you call it. At some point, Gamora would have been sent by Thanos because Thanos possesses knowledge, as he says, of Iron Man, sent to kill this man. Instead, they team up, beat Sakaar, thus making her the survivor of Sakaar because they survived the battles on Sakaar.
And that's one of the names or titles that the Watcher gave her.
And as you see on the Space Buster armor, it has Sakarian font, which is also like very similar to Jack Kirby's designs. So that's always been a shout out to Jack Kirby, to Sakaar. The whole look of Thor Ragnarok, a lot of it was a big shout out to Jack the King Kirby. So that same font's on the armor. So they escape, go murk off Thanos, thus making her the destroyer of Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
Get his helicopter blade, which is a shout out to the Thanos copter, the blade itself.
Mm-hmm.
Writers confirmed that. And that's why we would see her being the champ. And that's why at the end you see her melting down it because they've already destroyed the stones using her Infinity Crusher.
Infinity Crusher, yeah.
Yep, using the Infinity Crusher. So they've already destroyed the stones and he's melting down the hand. And that's why Tony says, I don't know about this Infinity Stones. I'm out of the arms game, but I do need to put a suit around the world. So this motherfucker is still thinking about...
He's still thinking small, son. Like, what the fuck? Where we go again?
But then he says, fuck it, I'm going to put a suit around the galaxy. And the thing is, like, it does make one point about the MCU in general. When Tony is alive, things go well in that reality. Because in every reality, when we see when Tony ain't around, things go worse. Now... As I've always say, Tony also is, kind of a monster.
He's the catalyst of all of the worst things happening as well.
But if he's not there, it's worse. That's like I've come to accept that. It's like
you know what? I'm tired of hearing "He Who Remains" keep echoing throughout every episode. I'm not the worst of them. Like it's always just like there are worse versions of me. Dear God, there's worse versions of reality without the monster Tony Stark.
Yes, I mean, are there any better versions of reality without the monster Tony Stark? Is also the question that has not been answered yet.
But speaking of Tony, I really liked that after the Watcher was said all the revering titles, and he was really talking to Gamora. Of course, here comes Stark and his ego. He jumps in the conversation. Calm down, white man. We're not talking to you.
Not talking about you.
Basically, the Watcher says the same thing. He goes, "Not you, Stark," and it keeps on going. Again. Comedic effect, but also a callback to what's happened in the Sacred timeline. It's because of Tony that they were able to defeat the big bad or the big, the universe-crushing threat. So,
And he was also looking forward because he said, Thanos isn't the only thing out there. Okay, we just destroyed Thanos, but how do we protect the galaxy from what's the next thing?
And also, when I'm thinking about it, another tongue-in-cheek joke, but also technically, this is, again, we said this is technically this man's fault. When Tony was saying that in his armor, you saw the reflection of the Watcher. And for him to be saying those words about, there are bigger threats in the universe, and you see the Watcher's big-ass head start looming over, it's just like, we are in this mess. In some ways, we're in this mess because of the Watcher. So he's both... He reminds me, again, a little bit of Tony. Like, you're both the threat. You're both the gift and the curse, if you will.
Yeah. I mean that,
Think about that.
But I've said that about pretty much all of the MCU heroes at this point. Pretty much all of them got some red in their ledger, dripping with that shit for the most part. And they're all trying to make up. And that's, one of the formulas of the MCU. And that's why people relate to it so well, because people always love to go, with the underdog. And so it's like, he's just trying to do good now, and especially when it's a white man. Oh my God, there's just so many like, he did all that evil, but look at him now.
I mean, the Watcher has always meant well, right? It's just that based on what you're saying, I'm just like, come on, man. Like, and again, I just be like, are y'all dumb? Like, why are y'all just not getting it? But whatever.
But it's also like we said, it might be that thing that he's trying to caught in this time loop. He's kind of like a fourth dimensional being who doesn't know he is or does, and I don't know
who the hell he is, and that's what I'm saying. I just can't accept I just cannot accept what you're. I mean, I accept your theory, but I cannot sit here and accept that this nigga really don't know what's going on, or does know what's going on, but acts like he doesn't know what's going on.
But he does know what's going on because he chose the team that would lead to the win.
This is too much. And let's continue.
It's like my thing about college football. Like, these cats be ranked and they be blowing cats out, for no reason. It's like you play an unranked team and they blow them out. And I'm like, ain't this fixed? Like, I don't get it, Like, I feel like that just seems fixed, That's how I feel like this is. Like, he playing college football with a ranked team. Like,
well, let's talk about the rest of the team. Again, Killmonger. We know why he chose him, but it's also like, why did you choose this nigga? He's treacherous.
You might as well chose Stark. He would have done the same shit.
Shit. So with the Killmonger, when he gets scooped, Shuri and Pepper is about to beat that ass with Adora. And I'm guessing, and you see it's a little bit further on in that particular timeline, you see that the throne room Wakanda has been like destroyed a little bit. You see helicopters in the sky, which to me assumes that the Americans got in or Eric let them in or something happened because Wakanda ain't messing with no damn helicopters. Their tech is way more advanced. So I'm like, what? He just caused more havoc? Like, what the fuck did he do? I thought it wasn't enough for him to bring all the mechs in and turn him around. Like, he's still going.
Oh, yeah, no, T'Chaka's dead.
Yeah, I think T'Chaka's dead.
Yeah, Queen might be done too.
Yeah. Oof.
Auntie out of here.
And that also, again, why Shuri is so... I mean, she was already mad, but she's big mad.
Big mad, yeah.
So, who knows? We also get Thor, which is actually, when they grab Thor, that's actually a continuation of him from episode 7. Because remember, at the end of episode 7, that's when Ultron first shows up with all of his sentry bots. And then that's when Thor, he's upset. He's like, you ruined my date. I was going to do my hair. Thor is a bad bitch, so that upsets him. So he was trying to have a date, right? He's busy. He was with Jane. So he's busy finding these sentry bots when the Watchers comes up. When the Watcher pulls up, and I was dying laughing because again, this show has done great comedic effects. And as I mentioned in the previous episode, they always choose certain scenes that it could be absolutely terrifying when you think about what's happening, but it's the way they play it is very funny. You see the Watcher pick man's up like Attack on Titan and say, oh no, you got to come with me because he's not paying attention. And Thor, literally, his mouth is as wide as he can go and he's just screaming his head off.
And that's a shout out to Thor Ragnarok again when he does that same scream and then ends up on Sakaar.
And as you mentioned, we talked about Gamora is presumably from that Lost episode we're calling it. That was supposed to be playing this season since we technically didn't see her universe in the previous episodes. Yeah.
And I did want to say something about that whole I mean, that's what, I don't want to go into it too much, but that just goes back to that thing that I was talking about. Like, we saw the continuation of Ultron invading that universe when Watcher was surprised, but then he went and alerted to Watcher. I mean, then the Watcher went and alerted Ultron to the rest of the multiverse.
You keep saying alerted like it was... I mean, I know what you mean, but that term makes it seem like it was on purpose. Like, it was...
It wasn't? Monsters.
I couldn't deal with it because, again, I can't. Let's get into...
he's an ultimate fanboy. He wanted to be part of the game, Shout out to Omar. You in the game.
Then why in the beginning of episode 8 says, oh, it breaks my heart? Why say all that shit about, oh, this is so sad, it breaks my heart, da, 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 da. Like, if you're reaping everything,
that's why.
That's right. He loves scamming and he lives for drama. I mean, the Watcher is Joanne the scammer. There it is. Joanne the Watcher. I'm a messy bitch and I live for drama.
That man just over here typing.
Oh my God.
Oh, all right.
Let's go into the MCU film and comic book parallels and callbacks, references. I mentioned Captain America: The Winter Soldier. The way this episode...
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing.
The way this episode opens is exactly the same way, almost exactly the same way Captain America: The Winter Soldier opens. Instead of Captain America, it's Captain Carter. When Natasha Romanoff and him are having that conversation, they have a similar that Saturday night convo, like when instead of Natasha telling Captain America to take out Kristen from statistics, it got changed to Bernard in accounting. Mm-hmm. And of course, both Cap and Captain Carter, they scoff away the idea and then fucking jump out the fucking plane with no parachute on. Yep. I just thought about something like, is Bernard in accounting kind of like, no, they didn't work on the same. I'm about to say this team was separate from the Loki team because I'm just like, wasn't that guy named Bernard or am I making that up? One that he was just, and he wasn't even in accounting. He was in like, the place where they keep all the like evidence. So.
No, and that's Casey.
Casey, thank
you. And we actually caught a cosplayer of Casey on one of our videos.
Oh,
yeah.
Make sure you're watching that on For All Nerds on Instagram and
YouTube.
Twitter. And YouTube. Yeah. YouTube.com/ForAllNerdsTV.
There you go. And also about that convo, a couple of things about it. One, Bernard from accounting is probably a SHIELD agent who is supposed to be watching him, just like Kristen is actually.
She's next door to Cap, so she lives across the hall from Cap.
That's Carter. That's the niece.
Yes.
Yes. So, there we go with that. Yeah, that that
Gross.
happened. Also from the comics, so it's comic book accurate.
So
but
in this case, would Bernard be potentially related?
who knows? Also, I'm gonna get worse later on, so we're gonna get into something else. You think that's bad?
Oh no.
Yeah, you think that's bad? I got something else for you. But the cold-blooded shit, and also that shows how deep their relationship is compared to Black Widow and Captain America, is that she said, "What if his name was Steve?" Like, no one would make that joke to Captain America. No one should talk about Peggy that way. But Black Widow and Carter have a different relationship, and that also ties in to the fact that she knows who Black Widow's parents are. Because remember, Black Widow didn't even find out who her parents were until Endgame.
You're right.
She didn't know their names. But that shows that at some point they probably tracked down her parents.
Yeah.
In this
that's a good
timeline.
point, Ben.
Yeah, because Carter and her have a much tighter relationship. And that shows it, because you're not going to make that joke like that. But that also is that, I love that, because that's like that Wonder Woman 84, the problem with it. And it was like, get over this dude, dog. Like, what if it's Steve? And she's like,
Right.
bitch. But she also knows what she's saying.
But Captain Carter is not giving away her powers because she wants to be with this man, Steve. She's not doing that wild, dumb shit that Homegirl was doing in Wonder Woman 84.
Hopefully
so it's
not
the same.
Hopefully not if What If season 2 either, because that story's don't
Please
continue.
don't. Please.
Yeah.
Please don't talk about that film.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
but since and also there's a slight difference. In the Winter Soldier, the ship is the Lemurian Star, and this is like the Lamarian Star.
I thought it was the same exact name.
No, it's like actually the A is replaced or something. If one of the letters is actually changed, because that's what is showing you why there's a difference of what is on the ship. Because there's a different. It's actually
Batroc was on that ship, just like in the film.
Batroc was on that ship. But Batroc is on the ship looking for something. It's what's on the ship. In the film, it's the Zola ship, which leads them to Zola. But in here, it is the Hydra Stomper with presumably a iced up Steve inside,
which we find out in the mid-credits scene at the end of this episode.
Yep. And since we're talking about it, here's time for the worst, right? In our original universe, basically Karen. I keep wanting to call
Karen.
her. Yeah, I keep wanting to call her Karen Carter, but it's Captain Carter. Captain Carter is basically following Steve's path of finding their true love, right?
Yeah.
This thing in our original universe, the Zola stuff leads Steve to find his true love of Bucky, while she's finding her true love of Steve.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It was never about that dance with Peggy at the end. My man left his true love behind.
Simp.
Poor Bucky, boy, right? What? But Bucky seems to not care. I think that's what it is. I think
Bucky's not a simp.
I think that's what it is. Steve loves Bucky, and Steve realized that Bucky ain't about it, so he settled and went back for Peggy.
So you think he realized Bucky's not about that life? Like he's not ready to commit?
Yes.
So he was just like, fuck it, I'm moving on.
Yeah, and I'll go with Peggy, the one who is.
So it was supposed to be Bucky.
It was supposed to be Bucky.
Damn.
It was always supposed to be Bucky. Look at that hair.
Sad times.
Yeah, look at that hair.
And also, just and this is like just a quick reference. That same free fall sequence again when Captain Carter and Captain America jump from the plane and they fall into the water, then end up getting onto the ship, and then just become head busters on the ship with the shield. That was basically exactly the same. So that was fun to watch. And again, the animation, I have to keep talking about how fire this animation is, from the expressions to the colors to how rich and warm the characters feel, and the fact that you like you feel like you can imprint yourself onto them, like you actually like to watch and be around these characters, and the fighting, The fighting, the girls are fighting, the fight scenes, and I need to know every technique they use to animate this series because it couldn't just. I mean, yes, we said cell shading, there's CGI, there's some other shit involved because it's just too fucking crisp.
We'll find out next week when they release the documentary on it.
Yeah.
A few other notes about that scene. Captain Carter's uniform is muted colors, like Steve's was when he's doing his stealth missions in the Winter Soldier. Instead of having the red, white, and blue, it's more like just blue and white.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish that she just shot Batroc, instead of fighting him. Like, just do something different,
Was that who she... I thought she was just fighting an underling. I don't think she was fighting Batroc.
No, remember he
when
steps
she was doing a hand-to-hand with the guy spinning on his head like Chun-Li, I just thought that was just another underling.
No, that Batroc spinning on his head like Chun-Li.
Sure? That didn't look like...
Batroc spins on his head like Chun-Li. That's his thing. That's what he does.
Okay.
He's a kickboxer. He actually fights in a French style of kickboxing, which involves a lot of flipping and bouncing. That is his whole thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I dead ass thought that was just rando.
No, ain't no random flipping and spinning on their head. Like,
but you know how it is when it's the same.
They got that one dude.
Yeah. There's always that one dude that just go hard and go hard in the paint. He got the nunchucks. He going wild, and then you just punch him in the face and he falls.
That's Batroc. Batroc is that dude.
Well, that Batroc looked like he was black. Okay, so that was like, who the hell is this?
He did look a little browner. I thought so too.
All right.
Maybe he is in that universe. Who knows? That his parents got different. She was out with the milkman.
Yeah, clearly there were shades of Endgame all throughout this episode, from the obvious team up of this version of what the Guardians of the Multiverse, the Avengers. Let's say the Avengers version, the Infinite Avengers, if we want to call them. We also have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in here. In that opening scene of that film, you see Ego bring Meredith Quill, Peter's mom, to this forest, and that's where he plants a piece of his essence, which 34 years later, when he's going to expand himself, it destroys this neighboring Dairy Queen. Well, you see that when right before T'Challa gets scooped up, he's in that Dairy Queen trying to save Peter. Same Dairy Queen. You see that blue kind of blob energy kind of all around there.
Yeah, and the blue kind of blob is what destroyed the Dairy Queen in one of the weirdest scenes in that movie.
You're like, okay.
It was like such an 80s thing, here's a blob, the blob that's trying to destroy the universe. Like, okay.
I guess.
But it works. I mean, it's 80s, that's Guardians of the Galaxy.
In terms of implications and other stuff.
There's a lot.
When Captain Carter and the team are going through the plan on how they're going to defeat Ultron Infinite, it seems like Gamora is the key. She's the key to that portion of it involving grabbing the Soul Stone and using that as the first step to go through and crush the rest. And I saw that as a somewhat parallel to how Gamora essentially is the Soul Stone in the Sacred Timeline. And the fact that in both places she's very integral to that plan of actually defeating the threat to the universe.
Yep.
And she has that new device called the Infinity Crusher,
which was probably created by Eitri the dwarf, and that's what we probably missed in that episode as well, is Eitri creating the Infinity Crusher. And when she first showed up with it, when the first time they show it, it really reminded me of the antimatter injection system, which is from the Marvel comic book series when the Avengers by Hitman, when the incursions are happening, and the Avengers use the antimatter injection system to destroy other universes to prevent the incursions from destroying their universe.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, the Avengers get grimy as fuck.
And that's what I'm trying to understand. It's not like you can just grind these things into dust, or is it
yeah, you can.
Can you? Is it just amount you just could put of a dwarf Eitri? He can make that type of device that has enough pressure to grind these things down and smash them.
He can make that type of device that can hold them in the first place.
True.
And he made Mjolnir, meow meow,
Mew Mew, Mjolnir.
Yeah, this man puts in work when it comes down to it.
Got it. All right, that's pretty cool. And you actually do see him in the cut when they're on that planet.
Also, you see that he has his hands.
Ah, yes, he does.
Thanks to Gamora, he still has hands. and dwarven friends,
Yeah.
and family, and a race. Because that was the one that Thanos was like, nah, F that half shit. Take it all, y'all niggas.
Take it all.
Like, all y'all done. Yeah.
Perfectly balanced in a different way.
And both your hands. I mean, I guess that's balanced,
It's balanced. 100%. Joanne the Watcher.
2 bits.
Joanne the Watcher teams up with Strange Supreme, breaks his oath, and physically steps in to protect his precious multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
And he says as much at the end when he's speaking with Natasha. She's just, she's like, hey, yo, fam, what the fuck? Let's be real. That's what Natasha says. And the Watcher's like, look, man, I fucks with y'all heavy. Y'all are my dudes. And y'all, I love y'all. And I do anything to make sure y'all stay alive and still go through all the trials, tribulations, and other bullshit you don't really need to go through because I can always pull you out of it. But I just want to make sure you stay alive for that.
I don't even think it's about making sure y'all stay alive. Because
if it's not, then why do all this? It's about keeping them alive so they can continue their stories. Because remember, she said, "Are we just stories to you?" And he goes, "No, you more than that." And to me, he didn't really answer the question. He was just like, "No, y'all more than that to me." "Nah, girl, you more than that to me."
the Watcher is not just Joanne the Watcher. He's also Joanne the Pimp. Or the Watcher the Pimp, because he is straight talking.
Pimp named the Watcher.
Yeah, Pimp named the Watcher, because that man is straight talking pimp talk right there.
That's a pimp talk, because after when he responded, I'm like, you didn't really answer her question. You just said that he's like, you're not just a story.
Fam.
My stories.
All right.
Like, what do you mean?
I was just rewatching all the Dave Chappelle specials on Netflix. And on one of them, he tells his story about how he read the book Pimp by Iceberg Slim, I think it's by. And he talks about, it's a true story of this man recounting his life as a pimp. And he talks about the way to get, somebody by you ask an older pimp, how do I get this one, broad, she acting up. He's like, oh, you beat that, within an inch of her life. Right? And then you take her to the hospital and then you get her better. And she gonna remember you getting her better more than she gonna remember you beating her.
That shit's wild. So
what
the Watcher is now
do?
an abuser now?
What did he just do? Abuse the shit out these cats and then said, oh, but look, I made it better for you. Look, Widow, even though your world was destroyed, I gave you a new world. He just like God. It's straight up the story of Job. Like, and that's always been my problem in the Bible. It's like, God takes away all Job's shit and then gives him new family. And it's like, well, now you got a new family. Ain't that better? No, I had a family that I was good with,
Isn't that what you
killed
wanted?
him.
Oh, wow. So he really is a pimp the Watcher. Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely a pimp named the Watcher.
Named the Watcher.
New AKA.
Arnim Zola makes another appearance. You don't see Arnim in the, like you said, the traditional thing that he usually shows up in the comics. Like you said, it was like that special like suit or...
Yeah, but we got in this episode.
But you got something else. You got something better.
Yeah,
I guess in this episode, because you were mad. You were like, oh, I don't think we're gonna see it. But
no,
you do
but we got it. We got it. I
thought you wanted that specific one. I'm like, we got it. Okay,
it doesn't matter how I get it. As long as I get stomach face Arnim Zola, I'm good. I got stomach face Arnim Zola in this episode. It's all I've been waiting for since like the first Captain America: The First Avenger. Honestly. Okay,
good. Yeah. So yes, that's another comic book reference there. And he ends up being the true kill switch for Ultron Infinite. But also in many ways he technically can't be trusted, right? Like
no.
As far as what he says, he's just like, well, my purpose was to expand Hydra and you took that away from me. So I gotta take you away from you, right? So sure, but then if he prevails, what would he do with those stones? So you can't trust him with that shit.
This man's a Nazi. Like
he's a Nazi at the end of the day.
Yeah, like no. He ain't, suddenly a hero. I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Strange Supreme with the that man looks terrible.
Yo.
You kept saying it, Ben, but really, like the more and more I looked at him, I was just like, please go lay down. Go take a nap.
That man looked beat when they were sitting in the bar. I was like,
some
Jesus.
Of the Peter Ross eye stuff was Lord Jesus.
Oh, Jesus, fam.
Strange. Go ahead.
Yeah, that man needs OxyClean for his eyes because ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. What was that? Lava?
When you swallow up all the dark creatures of the universe, I mean, it's gonna have an effect.
Way back in the day, they used to have this soap, Lava, and it was like they'd advertise it with like these hard experts. This will take everything off. Like that's what that man needs right now. He needs that lava soap.
Strange Supreme ends up having to trap, and I'm calling it Arnhem Ultron. Because at that point, you said Arnhem is in the stomach. He ends up trapping Arnhem Ultron and Killmonger Infinite because this is also after, again, you can't trust this nigga. And again, you see, my thing is, to me, Killmonger wears his intentions on his face.
Yeah.
Like, he's a lying ass liar. And everybody who believes him, I'm like, y'all don't see that? Y'all don't feel the lies? Like, I don't know. But no one ever does except for Gamora in this case.
Gamora saw it.
Right. And Killmonger, so yes, Arnhem Ultron and Killmonger Infinite, they get trapped by Strange Supreme into a pocket dimension, which, again, here comes the Watcher, a pimp named the Watcher. He's like, fam, that's cool and all, but what if it breaks? We need somebody to watch it, and then he's looking at Strange like, you ain't got nothing better to do. So what I'm seeing is Arnhem, Ultron, and Killmonger are in this pocket dimension, which is being watched by Strange Supreme. And Strange Supreme had been returned to his collapsed dimension. So it's like a trap within a trap within a trap.
This man is pimping on so many levels of pimpery. Like, the pimp game is so strong because he pimped him into that hole, and then he pimped Strange into watching it. He's like,
dog, I heard you like the Watcher, so I'm going to make you a watching the Watcher.
And like, remember when you destroyed that universe?
Yeah.
Guess what, dog?
Guess what? You get to be. This is your crib.
This is better than what I could give you.
Could you imagine Strange Supreme doing an episode of Cribs? It's like, come check out this empty void that I live in. Here's the little crystal where I keep Ultron Infinite, Arnhem Ultron, and Killmonger Infinite.
And then most of the rest of my day is spent doing absolutely nothing.
For eternity. For eternity. That's the thing. Like, at the end of all of this, the Watcher returns all of the Guardians of the Multiverse back to their timelines to the point of where he got them. And in this case, like, again, with Strange Supreme, he's back in that fucking vacuum that he's been in for all eternity. Which he brought it on himself. But still.
They're going to come back to this.
You think so?
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know. Hopefully not, because I do not want to see, like, even in just the general MCU, I want to see less of the Infinity Stones. So I don't want to see them escape and be like, oh, now we got to deal with the Infinity. No, no. Let that be the end of that.
Okay. But Strange, the thing about Strange, he is hella OP. Now, again, he did absorb every fucking creature and nightmare and power damn near all throughout maybe the entire universe at that point. So he's very strong, but he's the only reason why everyone has not died a million times over, because it's his protection spell which keeps everybody alive. And even Ultron Infinite is like, why won't y'all niggas die? Like, y'all have this fucking cloak of what is that called when you invulnerability that like no matter what gets thrown at them. I mean, they're getting cosmic ideas thrown at them. At this point, they're getting, like, forget cosmic power and cosmic physical thing. They're getting the ideas of death thrown at them, and nothing is scratching them. And I think even that needs to be nerfed a little bit. Again, if we're talking about gaming, because those things had like 2-second cooldowns, and then they would back up again. Like, it was like, also these things, like, you would think they were about to be destroyed, but then the minute they get some rest, they back up again.
But that's the thing, like you said, Strange had already been absorbing all this power. That's what he does, absorb power. So when they're throwing power at him, he's going to have something ready to absorb power. I also love the animation on their magical suits, because each one of them seemed like manifestations of themselves. Like T'Challa got more Wakandan.
Very Wakandan. Like, you had the crown, like something that resembled a crown. The way his armor looked was very Wakandian.
Thor had the Norse, like looking like Odin. The whole suit, or like Loki a little bit. And then one interesting point that I did not notice, this shout out to Ryan Airy over at Screen Crush, because Captain Carter got a star type emblem on her shield, like Captain America, right? But also in the Eternals trailer, there's a dude carrying a shield with a star on it in the ancient past. So it's like this idea that this star shield is just something that's always existed in the MCU.
And it's just been carried down.
And it's always protection, it's always like a symbol of protection.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah.
I like his 1,000 Mjolnir trick where like when Thor threw the hammer and then then they split up to a million of. I mean, it reminded me of an Endgame or maybe it's Infinity War when Strange split himself. And there was like a billion of him
definitely
fighting.
Callback. Yeah.
Again, this was funny to hell. He dumps literally, I feel like all of the zombies from episode 5 onto Ultron, which, and the real purpose wasn't the zombies, it was to unleash zombie Wanda on him, but that also didn't last long. So zombie Wanda tried to throw all her power on him, and then just immediately she with a long face, like, oh, this is not going to work.
That ain't enough. Yeah.
And then the one part where I was just like shocked was when Strange was like, why, not Strange, when Ultron was like, why won't y'all die? And he unleashes what appears to be a galaxy-ending beam of energy or cosmic ray or whatever the fuck it is. It seems like Strange Supreme captured that ray, that energy, that whatever the fuck that was, eats it and absorbs it. And then Ultron Infinite said the same thing. I said, wait, what? How, Sway?
But it's not even a how to me. It's like, that's what this man does. This man
he's that level now.
Fam, this man spent hundreds of years absorbing the most powerful beings in his universe and then destroyed his universe with this power.
So basically, he did what was supposed to happen to Darwin, which was nothing. Darwin was supposed to survive in that movie. That's exactly how it was supposed to go down.
Pretty much.
When he got that bomb. But no, it didn't work like that.
That's why Darwin's been thriving in the X-Men comics right now.
Darwin, yeah.
Yeah. Shining. But
excellent.
That's why he absorbed all that. So it wasn't, nothing to him. It's just like, this is what I do,
It's just Scooby Snacks to him.
Yeah, that's what I do. Give me some more. Another one!
The Ultron fight itself is a game of hot potato on cosmic levels because we're playing with the Soul Stone at this point. And towards the end of that fight, when you see Ultron slows down time in order to keep the Guardians of the Multiverse at bay, he forgot or didn't realize Strange Supreme has his own time stone, that Eye of Agamotto. He's able to counteract and get past that barrier and grab the stone once more. And also during that sequence, we hear from Ultron Infinite that he explains like when after the stones get crushed, he's like, silly children, your weapons cannot harm me. Like, he does this whole juggernaut shit. He says, this ain't shit.
You thought, because he says each universe is different. Each one has everything within it is unique, including the Infinity Stones themselves. Which also begs the question, since the Infinity Stones that we see in Endgame are from different realities, how did they manage to snap away Thanos?
What do you mean? Like they're snapping him from that specific reality. They weren't trying to snap him from the multiverse. They were trying to snap him from that reality.
Yeah, but they didn't gather them stones from that reality.
Ben, we keep going back to this conundrum that these Marvel writers wrote themselves into.
No, it's not. And see that before anyone in the comments, shout outs to twitch.tv/forallnerds. Before anyone starts talking about how these writers are sloppy, I keep pointing out that these writers are writing independently of each other.
Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't say sloppy. I just said this is a conundrum.
People will say that. And I do not think
that. But they are
them.
Independent. Yeah, people don't realize that.
And the problem is, and what Marvel will eventually do is they're going to have another series or movie down the line where they will, iron out some of these inconsistencies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, think of the writers like Infinity Stones in different universes. They're all a fraction unique from each other. So,
and it's the same thing in comic books, and that's the thing. People always be like, "Well, the Infinity Stones in the comic books, they can only be used in their own universe." And I'm like, and as I've explained before, that rule is only 10 years old. It was written by this one writer. And before that, another writer. Like, I'm old enough to remember when the Infinity Stones were called the Soul Gems, and they were really kind of worthless. It wasn't until this one comic book, Thanos Quest, where Thanos gathered them all together, and they became this big thing in the MCU. I mean, in the comic books. That before that, they a bunch of the elders. I mean, the what's the name? The Gardener, the Grandmaster had one. The champion, the elders of the universe, I can't remember their name, but they were just little stones on their head.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was not like the champion was super strong.
It was just costume jewelry.
I think like there was the soul gem, which had like powers like we've seen where it would take you into this whole other reality and stuff. That was like the thing, the soul gem. And I think Adam Warlock had that for a while. Like the soul gem was the one, but they were all kind of called soul gems and they were kind of just nebulous as to what they did.
I see.
And then the Thanos quest defined them as time, this. And that's when now people act like that's the Bible, but it is till someone else changes it. You know,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And throughout all this fighting, you do see the classic Avengers circle shot where the camera is just spinning around the whole team, and you hear the Avengers theme music going on. So that gets thrown in there too. So shades of lots of different movies throughout this series and in this finale episode.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we knew that this was coming, because that shot has been in the trailer since day one, damn near. Yeah,
context clues.
Yeah, that was kind of like, I was like, okay, well, that shot ain't just there for nothing. They didn't spend all that money animating that shot for nothing.
Is this the one Marvel trailer that's not a lie? Because normally those trailers are fucking lies. Remember how they'll even manipulate actual scenes, as we saw with Infinity War, as we've seen with the Captain America films. Like, they will manipulate scenes. Certain colors are not there. You know, in the TV spot when they was showing the amount of gems on Thanos' gauntlet, it was less than it really was, or different colors. Like, they lied. But in this one, I just feel like maybe they didn't.
People have even pointed out how Far From Home they think there's already lies in that, or removed
absolutely.
characters. Yeah. And I'd have to go back and watch it again, but I think you might be right. I think this was pretty much like straight up, this is what we're doing. And
it was just,
and but it was so confusing because like we've talked about with these episodes, until you see each one, any clue won't really explain what the hell is going on in it.
This is facts.
It's like, even that's why we stopped doing our, basic plot, because these episodes, until you see it, it's like, it makes no sense. Well, T'Challa becomes Star-Lord. What?
What?
What? Like, nigga, how?
I mean, of the most ridiculous, by the most ridiculous manner, as we saw in that episode.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Until you see it, it's like you can't, and then you can't begin to explain all the ramifications of what that is, in a basic plot. So you just have to see it. And that's the same thing with this, how this ends. It's like you had to have seen it all. And that's why even like
I've been there.
Yeah, even the little contest that I kept mentioning her, I was like, when are we going to see that Gamora in the Thanos armor?
You did say that.
Yeah, and because it'd been there since day one.
You did say that.
Yeah, we did, and we missed it as well.
So let's wind down with explaining or talking about through some of the characters. Of course, the Watcher, voiced by Jeffrey Wright, and in all his scammer, pimp, abuser glory.
I'm so mad that we've, turned each of these characters. and he finally gets his turn as a monster.
Hey,
a pimp abuser, though. Like,
we're not making it, and that's the thing. We're not making these up, and we're not really stretching what's going on. It's like we're just drawing natural conclusions about what's happening.
It's really bad, though, how I just watched that Dave Chappelle shit, and it really just came to, like, I was like, wait a minute. That's what a pimp does.
Yikes. Benedict Cumberbatch voices Strange Supreme, who needs lots of sleep. Star-Lord T'Challa Lord. Remember, we were like, oh, we'll never hear Chadwick's voice again. We got to hear his voice again. Rest in power, rest in peace. I always get like a warm tingly when I hear like his T'Challa, his the Wakandan accent. It's really, really cool. And I put a quote here that I was dying when he said, when the Watcher appeared out of thin air again, he goes, come on, get a new trick, man.
Yeah.
It was so cute. I again, love hearing Chadwick's voice. Michael B. Jordan comes back as Killmonger. He's getting that voice acting bag. Once, as I said, still can't be trusted even after all that. But here we are. And only Gamora is the only one to say, y'all still trust that? You trust that nigga? Something's not right with him. Chris Hemsworth comes back as Thor, as a bumbling buffoon. Just absolutely ridiculous, because he's an only childish version of him. So he hasn't had a time to grow. Not quite yet.
But he's also what we call in cinema, and like it's a trope, the useful idiot.
The useful idiot. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Haley Atwell returns as Captain Carter. Phenomenal job there. I really like that animated version of that character. Really
Love it.
It's been done so well.
Yeah, love her, love Haley, and love what she's done with this role in every incarnation.
Yeah. It's actually the voice actor Lake Bell that does Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff. I wanted to mention, I love that team up fight with Natasha and Captain America when they were going after Ultron Infinite and they had the shields going on and they were just banging on this nigga. So it was so fun to watch.
Sister's gonna work it out, boy.
Yes.
They worked it out on that man.
Toby Jones returns as Arnim Zola. Again, you get to see him as Stomach Arnim.
No, Thor calls him that. Stomach face.
Stomach face. Got it.
Thor
Okay.
calls him that at one point. Yeah.
Wow.
It was great. Yeah.
Ross Marquand, Aaron from The Walking Dead, he returns as the voice of Ultron. He seems to have the same irritations as Thanos with the Avengers when it comes to fighting the Guardians of the Multiverse. Why won't you die? What the fuck is y'all problem? Get down and lay down, all that stuff.
Get down. Shout out to Beanie Siegel.
Gamora, I was like, oh, that sounds like a black woman. Well, that doesn't sound like, well, she is black too, but I'm just saying, I was just like, that sounds like a different black woman. This one was played by voice actor Cynthia K. McWilliams. And then, of course, we have Tom Hiddleston reprising his role as Loki. Mm-hmm. Son of Odin.
Yeah. Sexy man. And then hella Easter eggs, inspirations, music. We mentioned some of them. You mentioned the Avengers circle shot with the theme music. There's so many musical references. Killmonger's
theme.
Doctor Strange's theme when he goes ham. My favorite was the ending, though, was the very ending of the episode when in the final credit scene when she finds Steve frozen, you hear the Captain America theme music being played on a piano. That's what that piano music is at the very end. It's just so sweet because y'all know I just love that relationship so much. Like Peggy and Steve is like my heart.
Yeah, and that would be the last point, that mid-credit scenes that we see, because she does say some heartbreaking stuff, like when everybody's going through the portal and leaving, and she turns around, looks at the watcher, she says, "Don't I get a happy ending? I've done enough." And it's like, damn. And then once again, like I said, goalposts keep moving. Niggas pick and choose. I can't interfere. The fuck you can? You just showed yourself, and that's another thing. Not only did he do all the shit that he did, he also showed himself to Peter Quill. Not to say that that's the least of Peter Quill's work.
At that point,
but still, he's seen it. So whatever.
That nigga Peter Quill's gonna need years of therapy from like that one day, dog. Can you imagine? You just work at Dairy Queen. Like, it ain't like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where he had preparation. You know, at least he'd been with the Guardians. You know, he'd seen hella strange shit at that point when he runs into his dad. This man just worked at Dairy Queen. Suddenly, this dude's sucking the energy out of you. Then this black guy flies in. This black guy, look, you're a 1980s white dude. You're gonna be like, this black guy flies in, saves you, starts screaming on you, and then this giant bald-headed alien sucks the black guy away. And so
you gotta say like he was saying, this African American man comes flying into the room.
No, it's 1980s. It's a black guy.
They say black guy.
Yeah, black guy. Look, 1980s. It's a black guy comes flying in, grabs him up, saves him. But then remember, the black guy reappears right at that moment where he left.
This is true.
Reappears right at that moment, and they have to go kill this dude who says he's his dad, and then you become one of the Guardians of the God. Like, yeah, that. But and
that's another thing. Do they ever leave? Like, are those universes just put on pause while these characters are pulled into this fight with Ultron Infinite?
Yeah, it's instant. It was instant, as we saw with Carter.
Okay, so it's not like they're reappearing or reappearing. It's just
Carter, it seemed to be like she did reappear. You know, so it is might be who knows?
Is it?
You know,
is it though?
It better be for Star-Lord. For Peter, because otherwise he did. You know, it's like he ain't got an instant. You know. He needs that man to be there right then.
Any other notes or comments you want to make about this episode, the finale of What If Season 1?
Let's see. I think that is about it. We have managed to finish everything. I did want a little Easter egg. I mentioned this before when the 3 dragons came up out of Strange.
Yeah.
That joint reminded me of Tiamat. It's a Dungeons & Dragons character, and I think it goes back further than that, but it's this 3-headed monstrous dragon, and even when they had him eat that 3-headed dragon in the first episode where we saw him, I was like, oh, Tiamat, shout out, you know, Whenever you see a 3-headed like super dragon, that's what I think about.
Yeah. Clint's revenge. I wanted to mention that.
Oh, nice.
With Black Widow using that final arrow to inject Arnim Zola into Ultron Infinite. This one's for you. I'm like, oh, she's a good shot. He definitely taught her well.
Mm-hmm. And, he didn't want to fight no more, but, the fight still go on.
The fight still goes on.
We did not get to see Shuma Gorath with the tentacles still coming out. It still was not revealed, the whole tentacles and eyeball, where we would know that is Shuma Gorath. But I do love how...
Who else is it?
It's Shuma. But I do love how Peggy recognized it. Like, oh, and then you got them tentacles that I seen before, dog. Like, ugh.
I know that ain't who I think it is. Peggy said, I know that. Did I cut your ass up 5 episodes ago?
And I know you ain't fucking with this nigga. I know. She's like, I'm tired of this. Like, men every time.
And we were also tired, y'all. We had very, very long weekend, but also a very fulfilling review of What If season 1, and this was episode 9, the finale. What if the Watcher broke his oath? As always, we thank you for your support and appreciate the Twitch fam, twitch.tv/forallnerds. You've been joining us every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern in the chat to talk all things What If and all of our Marvel reviews and I said depictions, predictions. We appreciate you. Make sure you are following us so you can jump in the chat. If you have the means, please also subscribe to us. You get, I think you get some special emojis and other stuff by joining. Also, if you have Amazon Prime, you can actually link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and get a free sub every month, which means you just got to resubscribe to us for free every month. Make sure, please, and I say us, make sure that's For All Nerds. We appreciate it. Twitch.tv/ForAllNerds. Thank you to everybody in the Patreon who's been holding us down. Y'all hold us down so much. Y'all held us down. Because of y'all holding us down, that's why we was able to do big things at New York Comic Con. You'll see even more content coming. Patreon.com/ForAllNerds. Every tier is special. You all get special privileges. Oh, and we're going to have some free stuff to give you from Comic Con. You'll be seeing that in the next day or two. BenHaMeen, if you were at New York Comic Con, you might have seen this beautiful holographic views from the 616 sticker. If you're on twitch.tv right now or at the YouTube, you'll see it. We also have the For All Nerds version. I don't know if he has it there, but we also have that. But people who we saw in person got to get that. Everyone who came to our panel, shouts out to everyone who came to the Black Business and Nerd Spaces panel. Y'all were amazing. We had a full house, and everyone, or most people there, they got an opportunity to get those special stickers. What else? Make sure you're following us on socials at For All Nerds, at Views from 616, as well as myself at Tatiana King. He's at DJ BenHaMeen. Make sure you are subscribed, follow to us on your favorite podcast platform. We're on every podcast platform known to man, with the exception of Tidal, and that's okay. We are everywhere else. That's fine. We are also on TikTok. You have already seen some cool videos there. We're going to be dropping some more Commissar Cop, some reviews of movies that we've seen recently, like Venom.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna do some James Bond stuff on there too, because I saw the latest James Bond film, so I'll mention some stuff there. And anything else that I missed, BenHaMeen?
You mentioned TikTok. You mentioned our T Public stores.
TeePublic, I did not mention.
/ For All Nerds, where you can get a beautiful mug like this from our Safe Negro podcast show, or you can get the Views from the 616 logo like you saw on this holographic sticker, which you can't get there, but you can get yourself a nice logo. You can get the logo on stickers, on anything. You can get this.
Would you like to fuck around and find out?
Miss Minute shirt, which was a big hit at Comic-Con, or you could get the Wong Was Right shirt.
Yes,
which,
our whole crew had it on. And we had pictures of us. Yeah, people were taking pictures of us like, who are these evangelists?